Welcome back, everybody. It's Andy Bernstein, your host of the Legends of Sport podcast, continuing our sports photographers series with the legendary Walter Iooss. Walter is on my personal Mount Rushmore of legendary sports photographers. He and his buddy Neil Leifer, John Zimmerman, Hy Peskin, these are the guys who paved the way for the rest of us. And man, Walter is just an amazing person. Definitely the coolest guy I know in our business. Ask anybody in this business about Walter. First thing that comes to mind is he's a cool dude, but his pictures are unbelievable. And if I tell you that his body of work speaks for itself, that's an understatement. Some accolades about Walter that I'd like to shoot your way. Walter was inducted into the International Photographers Hall of Fame. He's the winner of the prestigious Lucy Lifetime Achievement Award for sports photography. He had his first SI cover at the age of 19, believe it or not, and hundreds of more after that. He shot every SI swimsuit issue since the beginning, possibly every Super Bowl, if not every Super Bowl, maybe one or two that he missed, I don't know. He's published many books, including the book Rare Air with Michael Jordan, which was a groundbreaking collaboration and set the stage for myself when I went out to try to do a book with Mr. Kobe Bryant. We talk about all that stuff in the podcast, but I really want to impress upon everybody what an incredible person Walter is, how giving he has always been as a photographer, as a mentor, as a friend. I've gone to him throughout the years with a couple of questions here and there. He was always incredibly polite. And very generous with his time whenever our paths would cross in an arena or in a hotel ballroom where he was doing a major shoot. Really, really thankful for Walter joining us today. I hope you guys enjoy this because this is a legend, okay? As always, I'll see you on the backside. So welcome to Walter Iooss for being part of our Photographers series and the Legends of Sport podcast. Where do we find you today, my friend? Where are you?
In overcast Key Biscayne, Florida.
So you're in Florida. So
Three islands south of Miami Beach. So we're going home next Tuesday, weather permitting.
Yeah. Do you fly or you?
We're actually sharing a plane with someone.
Oh, good. All right. Because it's a nightmare flying right now, right?
Well, you know, people my age, it's very dangerous. So.
Yeah, I'm right behind you, buddy.
I don't want to go to any groups.
Yeah.
I've actually sort of enjoyed just disconnecting almost. It's obviously it's been very difficult for all family, the whole world.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you going a little nuts? You've been shooting anything? I mean, I've been seeing some pictures of your like grandkids and stuff.
But the last job I had was photographing Ken Griffey. After Kobe's passing, I get a message on my phone. Call me.
Yeah.
And so I call him and I said, "What's up?" He says, "I want you to come and photograph my daughter and I."
Okay.
I said, "Well, gladly, I'll come up." I said, let me book a flight." He said, No, I'll send you my plane."
Oh, thanks for coming. Yeah. Well, that's how you roll, Walter. You know.
Yeah. So he flew us up from Opelika to Orlando, and I photographed his daughter and he.
Yeah.
And his family. And then we went to lunch at a Mexican restaurant.
Yeah.
A taste of MJ's tequila, which he said he was going to send, but he never did.
How was it, by the way? Was it good?
It was pretty good. It was it's like $107 a bottle.
Yeah.
And he dropped us at the airport, and Troy, my assistant, and I went back home, and that was it.
Yeah. I haven't picked up a camera in 2 months. I mean, my last game was literally 2 months and 2 days ago, and should be the third round of the playoffs right now. So whatever.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
Sport, certainly for people like us.
Yeah, for sure. Well, listen, man, I want to get into this with you. I really appreciate your time and making time for me and all of our listeners and all our professional and amateur and fledgling and just people who love your work and for years and years. And it's a thrill for me. going to have to embarrass you a little bit, you know, and with some accolades so that people know who the hell we're talking about here. You've been called the, quote, poet laureate of sports, and,
Very
quote,
much like that.
and, quote, the foremost sports photographer of your generation. I would beg to differ, and I would put of any generation, right? Okay, that's me. You're on my personal Mount Rushmore of sports photographers. I've talked about this a lot with your buddy Neil Leifer and the greats John Zimmerman, High Peskin, of course, right?
Absolutely.
And so, correct me if any of this stuff is wrong, but you had your first cover of SI in 1962. You were 19 years old?
63.
63, okay. But
March
you,
1963. Yeah, I was
oh,
19.
okay. So can you describe that moment that you, not that you knew you had the cover, but that you actually saw the cover for the first time? Because I remember mine vividly. I was 30 something when it
Yeah.
happened for me.
I remember it vividly.
Yeah.
Sports Illustrated sent me to Clearwater to photograph my Fighting Phils. I always liked the Phillies because I spent a lot of time with the Philadelphia Phillies
Yeah.
as a young photographer.
Uh-huh.
And they sent me to photograph a pitcher named Art Mahaffey, who happened to be like a friend of mine. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I was a child with a bunch of guys in their 20s that were much older than I was.
Right.
And it came out in March 63.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, you know, it's pretty exciting having your first cover.
Yeah, no shit. I mean, did you see it at the magazine, like at the office or on a newsstand, or how was what was the first moment? I'm just curious.
You know, that's a good question. I do remember one moment, it's sort of a sad moment. You know, I grew up in East Orange with my grandfather and my mother.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when he passed, I went up to his room and went through all his drawers.
Mm-hmm.
And in one of his drawers was the cover.
Oh, it's the
I was
first
so
one.
proud. So
That's
that's
wonderful.
my fondest memory of Art Mahaffey's cover. So that was
And
special.
and fast forward how many hundreds later? I mean, I can't even imagine. You probably don't even know how many hundreds of covers you've had.
Well, it's over 300. I don't know the
Oh,
exact. I don't keep track.
God bless
There's
you.
not too many covers anymore. So
Yeah, not a lot of wall space to put all those up. Um, so, Walter, we could literally do a 10-part documentary like The Last Dance on your career, right? And it pains me. I mean, it really does that we can't talk about your amazing football and baseball and tennis, golf, your commercial work, and especially your swimsuit work, right? Because literally we could spend weeks talking about this stuff. Today, I really want to concentrate on
that might
three.
be a little harder on our hearts right now.
Yeah, exactly. But I want to just today concentrate on three topics. Okay, I want to concentrate on your relationship with Neil Leifer, and also the two basketball icons that both of us have been lucky enough to be around, Michael Jordan and Kobe. Okay, so the first subject, your buddy Neil Leifer. I got to read, and you know this, but our listeners don't. Neil has a couple of great quotes about you. I'm going to read it. It says, quote, "What Walter did best, nobody else could do it all. He was the Cartier-Bresson of sports photography, except with longer lenses. He took a lot of chances, but he always came back with the decisive moment." And then he goes on to say, quote, "I've seen Walter be at the wrong place and get the right picture. And I've seen him be at the right place with the wrong camera and still get the right picture. It's not true that Walter is luckier than other photographers. It's his gift. Walter has taken a lot of chances. Using his approach, the probability of missing is huge, but he doesn't miss."
Well, there's not much I can say about that. That's very nice. And I've always believed that whatever place you go to, you have to make a decision. This is the right place.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You can't second guess yourself.
Right. Yeah.
You know, it's instinctual. And, you know, part of this instinct was my great love and fascination with sport as an escape when I was growing up. I mean, I had ideas before I knew what a photograph was of things I utilized later in my life.
Okay.
I was always visually interested. And my father was a musician who was a very good photographer. And he was the one who really steered me into photography.
Yeah. At what age? You had to be young. You had to be like
15.
early
We went
20s.
through our
Yeah, it happened to me too. Yeah.
our giant came, and I took my first roll of film.
Right.
4 or 5 shots. We processed it back in East Orange, and I held it up to the light. My managing editor said my future was unlocked.
Yeah, yeah, it's an incredible magical experience, which I don't think people and students and young photographers can get now, you know, with the instant gratification of pushing the button in the back and seeing what you just shot. You know, it's like the whole science and the anticipation of it and going in the darkroom and literally watching that magic happen. I remember like it was yesterday, the first time I saw a print come up in the developer, you know.
It is pretty magical.
Yeah, unbelievable. So you had a great comment and quote about your buddy Neil. You said, quote, "I always felt like I was competing with Neil because we wanted the same things: covers, and important assignments, and opening spreads. We had different working styles. Neil always highly prepared, me much looser." All right. So Neil talked about on my podcast that you guys really pushed each other. That
True.
it was mostly a friendly competition, right? But you both always wanted to one up the other, and especially get the coveted kaba, as he would call it.
Kaba.
Kaba. Got the kaba.
Well, you know, the one line he says he never said.
Yeah.
And I remember it as well as I'm sitting here. Jim Drake and I were in the end zone in Cleveland.
Yeah.
And you're always were looking, where's Neil? And I'm sure he's looking where I am.
Right.
He's so good. And he ran past us after this play in a playoff. I even left room for the logo.
Classic.
Now, he never said it, but it's a good story.
You know he
probably did.
Of course he did. I have to pull up this picture of you guys.
Oh, yeah, that's in Baltimore.
Right? Isn't that a great
stadium?
Picture? How old are you guys in that picture? Do you remember?
Well, let's see. Well,
that's amazing.
Probably 22 or 3.
Wow.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Wow.
They had hairstyle.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And then let's see. I have this other picture of you guys.
I don't know who took that one.
A few years later, the opening of your Annenberg show.
Annenberg.
Yeah.
Yep.
And what an experience that must have been for you guys. I mean, talk about like the Phil Jackson full circle moment, but for you guys to show your work and the retrospective and I was there. It was a fantastic night. It was probably the greatest opening of any exhibition I've ever seen. It was really amazing.
And the red carpet, they
went
out of their way. It was far more special than we could have imagined. And then they had that room with the videos.
Oh, it was beautiful.
Showing them. Yeah. So no one really was looking at the prints because they did something that was avant-garde then.
Right.
These big videos. It was like, oh my God. So we'd never seen our photographs that big.
And didn't they have that interactive light table where you could just move the pictures around? That was crazy. I mean, the space is wonderful. It's a wonderful place. But what a the perfect spot for you guys to exhibit together.
Hold on here. What do I got here?
What?
Hold on. I still have the greeting card.
Look at that.
In the drawer. Look who's on it.
I think we recognize that guy. Wait, hold on. Let's see if I think I have that picture right here. This guy.
There he is. Number 5 in his ear.
That's it. Yeah.
5 ring.
There you go. Well, we'll get to him in a second because I think it's really helpful for photographers, seasoned photographers getting in the business to really understand what made you click, like your sort of Walter mentality, like Mamba mentality. That competition with Neil, was that the fire that lit for you, that kept, like you wanted to always one up him, but did you have this sort of innate kind of internal need to produce work at the highest possible quality, or was it really him? I mean, he talks about it like you constantly pushed him and he wanted to one up you like every single assignment.
Well, you know what? See, I never thought that. I never really thought that way. I mean, obviously we all wanted to do your best. I mean, you were working every week, maybe 2 games a week. I mean, you're working non-stop.
Right.
And, that weekly magazine was the greatest magazine in the history of sport. the greatest writers. They made you fly first class in those days. You know, it was like,
Yeah.
it was a great life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, you know, it's good that we had different ways of operating. Because if we were both the same, it wouldn't have been as good.
Yeah.
You know, the way Neil grew up, the way I grew up, he's much more aggressive. I'm aggressive in a more quiet way.
Yeah.
You know, our backgrounds of where we grew up are completely different.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, you know, talking about the two different styles, and, you know, Neil's style, famous for getting hours early, and sometimes, you know, taking somebody else's spot that was meant for somebody else, but whatever. But your style completely different. And I've witnessed your style in action, and it always amazed me, because I want to read this quote that you had in your SI retrospective. You said, quote, "I modeled my life as a photographer on the way athletes play their games. I don't like sitting in a stadium for 2 hours chit-chatting and smiling. I know what I'm going to shoot." Yeah. You said, "I know what I'm going to shoot. I've arrived at events just as the national anthem was ending. It used to piss off the other photographers. They're there 3-4 hours before a game. Boring."
All right. Let's, yes, I have arrived at a Boston game, and that was during flight. You know, you would fly the shuttle out of New York.
Yes.
Boston Garden, one of the greatest arenas in the history of sport.
Yeah.
And yes, I arrived once at the national anthem, but I wasn't late. You know, I agree. I don't like, when I played tennis or golf, I didn't want to sit around the club for an hour before. My match was at 11 o'clock. I'd show up maybe 10:30, warm up, play the game. Then I'll sit around.
Yeah.
I never liked that waiting for anything before. I'm too eager to do it.
It's a lot of wasted energy, right? I mean, it's like,
I waste my energy for 3 hours.
Right, exactly.
But I did show up to games early, like the slam dunk. I was there 3 or 4 hours before that.
Yeah, I remember that.
You had strobes.
Yep. Yeah.
So, you know, it varied from.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of people in our business always point to a picture that we've taken, especially if it's an iconic moment, and say, "Oh, that was a lucky shot," or "You were so lucky to get that picture." And, you know, your mantra on that, and I use this when I teach, is that luck benefits the most prepared, right? So you could have this sort of laissez-faire kind of way of doing your job, but you are locked in and you know what to do. Case in point being the famous Dwight Clark shot, where I guess you were the only photographer in the end zone, right? You pretty much, in your mind, you'd seen that play before, you'd seen Montana, you'd seen that unfold in your brain, and you knew that you just had to be there, right?
Well, you have to preface the story of the catch that I'd just spent from July of 1980. Catch was in 82 or 81.
I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
It was an NFC championship game. I know that.
So preceding year, I started with the Cowboys for a year-long piece. So I was with them every game from training camp in Thousand Oaks, California, to San Francisco.
Yeah.
And, you know, I photographed Montana rolling right with 58 seconds left in the game. He released the ball, and I had the 50 ready.
Yeah.
So there was a cover on Sports Illustrated 2 years preceding that of Dave Logan making a one-handed catch. So I'd practiced this because I was possessed with pass receivers. You know, I used to go to the games and watch their routes so I could run. That's the child part of me. So So when it happened, I just saw some people moving from my right side. I had pre-focus, you know, thank God he was at 12 feet away. And the catch with SI's title puts on a cover. I was on the road again.
Yeah.
There was nothing famous about that catch then.
Well,
now, you know, 40 years later.
Yeah, but the fact that you that you put yourself in the end zone, I mean, a lot of people got that picture, but they got it from the sideline or the opposite end zone or whatever. Something told you to do that, right? Something in your head.
My instinct. You know, I used to do sometimes, Andy.
Yeah.
Because people would follow you around because they think you're in the right position. During the '84 Olympics in LA.
Yeah.
My assistant Scott and I said, "Watch this," because people are crowding around. So we're going to go to a bad position. Watch what happens. So I go to a really bad location, a bad angle, and then the photographers come over. So I get them out of my good spot, and then I go back to the other spot.
Yeah. Right. They just followed you around thinking you know something they don't, right?
Look where other people go.
Oh, that's unbelievable.
I would have followed John Zimmerman wherever he went. So
yeah, what was that like? I mean, I never knew him. I never met him. Obviously, his work speaks for itself, and what he did for our business, groundbreaking.
And he was.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time with John. We played tennis all the time out in Beverly Hills with his family.
Yeah.
We go out. He was my mentor. He was the one who really helped shape my life and taught me a lot of things about photography and saving and what you need to get by. And I mean, he had a fantastic life and a wonderful family.
Yeah, he sounded like he was a very generous guy.
Oh, he was a great guy.
Right.
John G. Zimmerman.
Yeah, unbelievable. I mean, for people who don't know, I mean, John was the first person to put the camera through the backboard and above the backboard and all the crazy remote angles and the strobes, right?
Yeah.
And so I have a question about the strobe thing, because I was going through this book, which you so graciously gave me. I love this book. Love it, love it, love it. So there's a lot of pictures in here with strobes, and I remember seeing some from Boston Garden and from Philly where the strobes are literally like 12 rows up, like behind somebody's head, probably giving them cancer or something.
Back then, you didn't have to put them in the ceiling.
Right.
So you could put them on the mezzanine level. And, in those days, you had to set up your strobes.
Yeah.
Anthony, like 4 hours before he carried these 60-pound packs up there.
Yep.
And then the wires and the quad heads.
Sure. Yeah.
And then everyone was smoking cigars and cigarettes. So you look at these, you could never recreate these moments unless you did it theatrically in a Hollywood movie.
Right.
Smoke machines and, my favorite shot of that period is the Elgin Baylor shot.
Oh, yeah.
Los Angeles in 65.
Yeah, that one was,
the Lincoln Leaners and all those Philly-Boston games. I love those too.
Yeah. First time I went to Boston Garden, this is a true story, was 84 finals. And I walked in, you remember how low like the second deck was and all that. And I see this gigantic dish. It must have been like a 32-inch round dish, probably 12 feet off the ground. I mean, just like right above my head. And I think I was with Nat Butler, and I said, what is that? It's a strobe head? He goes, yeah, it's probably one that SI just left in there from the 60s. They never took it out.
That's true. They would just leave them up there sometime.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? Unbelievable.
That was a tough place.
Yeah, and in the book, though, Walter, there's beautiful strobe pictures, but there's also a lot of pictures in there that were not strobe, that were shot with the ambient light, which was horrific in those days. And you're using film that's not, anything close to even the film I used when I started. How were you able to make good action pictures in those days with that crappy film and crappy light?
You didn't really have that. You had no options, obviously. If they sent you to Cincinnati in 1966, available light, I mean, it's like being in a dungeon. So,
yeah, exactly.
A 1.4 lens
sure,
and high-speed Ektachrome pushed to like 1600 and
crazy.
Shoot at 50th,
Yeah.
Clip tests, and they may push it some more and process it longer.
Yep.
But that's the way it was. People say, "How did you use it?" That was the best equipment available.
Yeah, that's all you had. You had to do with what you had. Yeah.
My old Nikon or Pentax or Canon, they were the greatest cameras in the world.
Yeah.
Everyone had the best stuff.
And there were really no zoom lenses in those days. I mean, everything now is a zoom lens.
It actually was a great zoom.
Yeah.
Neil and I both used. Was 85 to 70 to 250 or something. And Nikkor was a big.
Yeah.
It was a little bulky.
Yeah. I think it was pretty slow, right? You'd have to use it for an outdoor, like baseball or football or something. Yeah. Right. But you were famous for using that Gigundo 1000 millimeter that would just blow everything out of the background. I'm thinking of the Reggie Jackson posed shot that was amazing. I mean, unbelievable.
Well, first of all, this Carl Zeiss 1000 millimeter f5.6 lens, which was by my head, it was like about this wide, weighed 65 pounds.
Oh, Wow.
And I used to carry that with a huge tripod into like Yankee Stadium.
Oh, dude.
I was young.
Yeah.
It blocked everyone's view. They hated the lens, but
Yeah.
you know how possessed I am with backgrounds.
Right.
It eliminated backgrounds, and
Yeah.
you could find places where you could do things with light
Mm.
that you
Mm-hmm.
couldn't do. Plus, your depth of field was about an inch.
Yeah. Right.
So when you edited your take, you could throw out 90% right from the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But
but
all
that.
you're looking for is one great picture. Good picture is easy.
Yeah.
Great picture is what you're always looking for.
Yeah, I love that. So let's turn to Michael and Kobe now. And, one of your greatest attributes, I mean, besides being an unbelievable photographer, is that your personality has just helped you in so many ways, open doors and also just fit in, be a fly on the wall, all that stuff. It's so evident in all your work going way back, but especially talking about MJ and Kobe. And, I wanted to just read one quote that you had in Photo District News that you said, quote, you have to ingratiate yourself with athletes. I've done it for so long, so my reputation helps me. They, the star athletes, already think you can do something, so you're not wasting their time. Right. So you walk in, you got this history. They know who Michael Jordan knew who you were when you showed up.
Yes, in the late 90s, of course he did. And
Mm-hmm.
he was very careful of who you were working for after Sports Illustrated ran the horrible basketball cover.
Mm-hmm.
But part of that,
yes,
is ingratiating myself with athletes is because of the school I went to.
Mm-hmm.
It was 40% Italian, 40% Black, and then it was us.
Mm-hmm.
We were there for 5 years. Not that I stayed back,
Yeah.
but I made people laugh. So I never got in a fight. I was never touched.
Yeah.
I was made honorary Medigone Italian for one day only is so good, and honorary soul brother.
I love it.
So
it's perfect.
I feel that people know people.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's an understanding. I think that was, the place where my family wanted to get me out of.
Yeah.
So jungle, they called it.
but it's interesting.
I want to tell you one last story.
Yeah.
When my mother's side are all like very well educated people, Ivy League, they wanted to get me out of the so-called jungle.
Yeah.
They wanted to put me into the Episcopal Boys Choir School in Manhattan. It's the greatest choir in the United States.
Could you sing?
Yes, I was.
Okay, good.
So I was accepted at 53rd and 5th Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
My father said, he's not going there. The real world is not St. Thomas. The real world is East Orange High School. He's staying.
Okay, he knew. Yeah,
he knew.
Wow.
And that is probably the most defining thing that took place. Staying there. I went to St. Thomas Boys School.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Amazing. So Walter, you get in with Michael. How did that? What was the first foray into the whole Jordan inner sanctum? What was what was that? Was it an assignment of some kind, or how did that all transpire?
Well, Sports Illustrated sent me in July 1987 to go to Lyle, Illinois, outside of Chicago, where he had a kids camp.
Right.
And his brother, who could play ball, was there. And I photographed the camp. I photographed some portraits of him, and we had never met, but he was so charming and so ingratiating and opening. And then we did the next day the blue dunk, which could have been the red dunk.
Oh, that was the next day from that first meeting?
Yeah, it was 2 days. Yeah.
Wow.
2-3 days.
Yeah.
And that was it. We set up. I mean, you may have heard the story. I painted a parking lot blue.
Yep.
Or someone did, and painted another huge section red. It was this huge parking lot.
Yeah.
I brought in a basket from St. Louis. I tried to get a basket from Chicago, an NBA basket, but there were none available. Huh. So I trucked one in from St. Louis. I got a cherry picker. Camera took 14 frames a second. And if Michael had shown up in his white uniform, we would have gone to the red court. I didn't have a uniform. So he showed up in his red, and we went to the blue.
That's crazy.
And
wow.
I had the idea of the shadow, but you had to do it only a certain time of the day. Can't be clouds.
Yeah.
And that's the first time we met. And then 88 is when the slam dunk came around. And on.
What did he think when you showed him, or did he ever react to the blue dunk? You guys ever talk about that? Because that had to have solidified his opinion of you from the start. A guy goes that far out to do that intricate of a shot. That's pretty impressive as an athlete, I would think.
Well, Michael's never one to be complimentary. He was always tongue in cheek. That's the way he was. He called me all kinds of terrible things.
Yeah, right.
I once asked him, because one of my dreams is always to be with Michael somewhere, but it's never happened, and go through the images.
Yeah.
So last time I said, it was a golf shoot for Golf Digest. So I said, when I showed up, I put this huge bankroll on the table. Because he plays for thousands.
Yeah.
I said, I want to play with you. He said, Walter, you don't have enough money to play with me. You can play behind us. I said, do you remember any of these pictures we took? I mean, so what, you think I'm fucking dumb?
Yeah.
I said, well, which one? That mirror shot was pretty good.
Yeah, there you go. The mirror shot was unbelievable. Let's pull that one up here, because I got that one. Yeah, this one.
That one.
That was just ridiculous. Yeah.
When I was a kid, there was an apartment building in East Orange, and the entrance had mirrors on either side.
Yeah.
And I'd walk in there, like 10, 11. It was like, I always remembered that. And that's where I got this idea from.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know how you did this. It's unbelievable. I mean, today people would just, they would Photoshop it and it would look great, but this is done not Photoshop.
No, it was on a rooftop outside of the practice facility.
Unbelievable! Wow. How many takes did you have to do on that? Like, how many moves did he have to make till you knew that you got it?
Well, it was all dribbling. You had to do that because you're using an extreme wide angle. I think that was like a 14 or 17 millimeter. And by moving the mirrors, you had 1 4x8 flat on a platform, maybe 5 feet up.
Yeah.
Construction, obviously. And then as you move the mirrors, you butt them right at. You can start to see the infinite fall off. And once we got that, we started to roll. You did a few Polaroids. And there it is.
Unbelievable. Well, the fact that he called it out and he loved that picture is amazing. And let's fast forward to 88, to the dunk contest. You and I were both there, right? And the story is legendary for people who haven't heard. You and Michael had a little secret kind of sign thing going on where he would give you a little tap on the knee or whatever himself, and then you would know right side, left side, where to position yourself. And that's how that iconic photo came to be. And so many years later, that it's taken on, such an in the photography world is just taken on such a historic proportions that, God, you had the guts to ask him to do that, and he actually did it. Right?
Yeah, that's what I said. Well, because everything's a game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I said, well, how are you going to remember this? He says, you watch. I said, all right. So the final slam dunk, which is the picture, the slam dunk that preceded that, I was right at the stanchion, with the Hasselblad and the wide angle.
I remember.
And he crashed into me.
Yeah.
Which was sort of exciting.
Yeah.
And the last dunk, he looked down the court, and I was in the same spot, and I went like this.
Unreal. Yeah, that was an incredible contest, man, in Chicago. And, that final one where he takes off from the free throw line, and God, just unbelievable. And, I always just got a kick out of watching you work, because I'm like pulling whatever. Well, I had hair in those days, so I was pulling a lot of hair out, nervous as hell, got, overkill of remotes. There's Walter with the one camera. It just, gets the most iconic photo of all time.
I could never deal with remotes. I had a real problem with remotes.
Right? Yeah.
Some people are great. Neil is great with remotes. You and that. I mean, some people are great.
Yeah. Well, so that's 88. You get to 93. It was 93 when you guys did Rare Air, correct?
Correct.
So can you for people who don't know, Rare Air was a collaboration between Michael Jordan, athlete, Mark Vansel, the writer, and Walter Iooss, photographer. And in our research, I can't imagine, or we couldn't find any other example where three entities got together and actually collaborated on a book like that, as partners, and also, in the creative way. How did the project come about? Was that something that Mark suggested, or how did it happen?
No, I suggested it.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. 92 was not a great year.
Mm-hmm.
Advertising and work was sort of a recession year. It's like, I gotta come up with an idea to do something.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this wonderful book by Albert Wertheimer on Elvis Presley in '56, when Elvis went to the top. And he was sent by RCA Victor to follow this guy he couldn't stand. He was a classical music lover, and now he sent the king of rock and roll for the 3 weeks. And he took a fabulous set of pictures.
I got to check that out. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's the best. I have it over there. And so I flew to Chicago. I was on the way to Hawaii on a job. So I stopped in Chicago unannounced and waited for him to get out of the locker room, finished talking to everyone. I'm like, Dory says, Walter, what are you doing here? I said, I have an idea. He says, that usually means work. So we walked out with Gus and his crew, and we stood near the exit of the Chicago Stadium and explained the idea. This is your family album. You've got everything. You've got rings. You got children. You're married, MVP. Let's document your life. This is your family album forever. So I like that idea. Let me think about it. So his next stop is Los Angeles. When I come back from Hawaii and I meet him in Los Angeles, and I said, what do you think? He says, I like it. Let's do it.
Wow.
Hands. Now, Vansel was nothing in this trio yet. So I don't know how far we're in it, maybe a month or so. Yeah. And he said, we're going to have a meeting. I'm going to introduce you to somebody. And he brings us in the Blackhawks locker room. This is Mark Vansel. He's your new partner. All right. So Mark was good, and he knew Jordan, and he came up with the fantastic title, Rare Air. Yeah. And the book, no one wanted it. I was deep out of money. And then Michael's father was murdered. He retired, and the book went from the basement to #1 in the New York Times.
Unbelievable. I'm going to hold it up here, and you're going to see that it's pretty dog-eared because I brought this to many classes to show. I absolutely love this book. This book, I got to tell you, you probably know this already, but when I went into my pitch meeting with Kobe about the book we did together, I laid this on the table first. I said, "You've seen this book, right?" And he goes, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Of course I've seen that book. And I said, "We're going to do the new version of this with you." So he, that sold it right there, my friend. And so thank you for that. But I need to show the cover picture, and maybe you can just talk us through this cover picture, which is, a little out of the ordinary for a guy like Michael Jordan. You would think it'd be an action shot or something a little bit more on the macho-y side, but this is such an incredible photo. How did it come about?
Well, he went to Miami, and they stayed at a hotel in Coconut Grove, and I was staying at the Ritz in Chicago all the time, and they had terry cloth robes, which it was nice to go to the pool in.
Sure.
But I'm out at a newsstand one day before Miami, and I see a photo magazine, and there's an Ethiopian man in a hooded robe in profile. And I go, oh my God, that's a hell of a picture.
Yeah.
Robe, Chicago, Miami. So the hotel they were staying, the pool upstairs, and this, I didn't know this wall. It's like a miracle. Yeah. So I told Michael the idea. He said, "This is stupid. Come on, let's do this."
Right.
5 minutes. We go up the roof. I had a lifeguard hold an umbrella.
Oh God.
Over our head. And a roll of film, and bye-bye. And you have to think of the designers of this book. Macmillan in Chicago, that Vansel brought. Yeah. These guys were fabulous. They did a beautiful design of the book. This is gorgeous. Such an unusual cover. Yeah.
So obviously Michael had to approve this as the cover photo. Was there a discussion about that, or he was just sold on it? He loved it.
No, I'm sure I wasn't involved in that discussion. Maybe Mark was involved with that.
Yeah, incredible. I mean, just a couple of more pictures from inside the book. I mean, the access you had was
Twice a week.
unbelievable. I don't have the picture of him taking a bath with his boys, which was really amazing to have that moment.
He hated water too, because
yeah, that's what he said in the book. That's crazy, unbelievable.
Pool, forget about it.
Yeah, yeah. So Walter, as you're watching the Last Dance, what are you thinking? Is it fun for you, or are you we haven't gotten to the end yet, which will probably come out after we do this interview, but that famous moment at the end when we're all in the suite with him and he's sitting down at the grand piano and all that. That was unbelievable. Yeah.
What have I thought about it? I mean, you watch Michael. I mean, he was, as beautiful a player as you could ever watch. I mean, Kobe's right up there.
Yeah.
But the intensity of Michael to win at all costs, and how he drove people, his desire, and he was so articulate with the media every day. He was so charming to people. Constantly surrounded. He was always cool looking. This is part of coming from a good family, which he came from. And Michael's very, very bright. I've always felt like he had 1,000 eyes on his head.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, don't play any tricks on Michael, or you'll be out.
Well, you certainly were able to get into the inner sanctum. I mean, you don't get much inner sanctum in this picture.
I love that picture.
And what I love about this picture, I love everything about it, but you got Liggy, the guy in the black shirt, who is kind of like the gatekeeper. He's the equipment manager. The guy's been there for like 70 years, Yeah. But he's giving you the eyeball. He's just, I've gotten that eyeball so many times from him. It's like, dude, come like 1 inch closer and I'm kicking your ass out.
I don't think that. I think he's happy to be in the picture.
Right.
That's what started to happen. People wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah, there you go. Right.
It's like,
Yeah. And how was Phil to you during that whole experience?
Phil was always cool. When Krause came around, you had to leave.
Yeah.
Phil, I knew him as a Knick. And Phil was terrific. And, it's like part of that season I spent in Los Angeles with the Lakers.
Yeah.
You got to have the coach.
Yeah.
In your pocket. And the person you need even more in your pocket is the PR man.
Oh, the PR man, John Black. Big shout out to John. Yeah.
Yes, John Black was great because you could always say, "John, can I go in? Just let me check." Just check anyone.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it was a bad day.
Yeah.
John was terrific. He was very helpful. And Phil was.
Phil was the best, and still is the best. I don't want to talk about him in the past tense. I absolutely love that guy. So let's transition over then to the young pre-Mamba, right? Pre-Mamba Kobe. You met him super young. This picture, this one, he's wearing Adidas. It's probably his second year. Yeah, crazy, right?
Okay, the first time I met Kobe, you may have been there on this. Was Upper Deck in Orlando when he was a rookie, and he had a cast on his hand.
Right. Yeah, I wasn't at that shoot, but yes, I know it.
He is the greatest trampoline athlete I've ever had.
Wow.
And I told him, he said, "I'm not doing any more trampolines, Walter."
Yeah.
Yeah, I said, "You're the greatest ever." The pictures of what he could do.
Yeah.
I'm sure Michael would have been pretty good up there.
Yeah, he was amazing.
Young, it's like, you don't do this 6 years into your career.
And then we go to this picture, which is one of my favorite pictures of him that anyone has ever shot. Maybe one of my favorite portraits of any athlete. This is just monumental. What's the story behind this picture?
This is for Adidas. We did a lot of work for Adidas back in 99, 2000, 2001.
Yeah.
And this was at Angels Gate Park in Los Angeles area. This court, it sits high above the ocean with that, classic curving stanchion, no net, like all good courts should be.
Yeah.
The ball in the city, no nets. And it's just one light. And, the beauty of this was he's getting paid. So I can do anything I want.
Right. Yeah.
Not like, you got 5 minutes.
Yeah, but the sky is crazy in this picture. Everything is crazy in this picture. Yeah. Amazing, my friend. So just in a nutshell, similarities or differences between Kobe and Michael. I mean, there's so many people talking about it now, and I hate that conversation. He hated that conversation, but you can't deny that he was channeling Michael as much as he could. Right.
But
Yeah.
Kobe's jump shot is pretty magnificent.
Yeah.
I mean, you watch Kobe's highlights, which I did the other night.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
He's Michael reincarnated.
Yeah.
He always told me he beat Michael in a 1-1.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me dead out. Everything from his jump shot. His follow-away jumper was fantastic.
Crazy. Yeah, this portrait of him almost reminiscent of the Jordan cover shot that you did. Yeah, I just absolutely loved it. Yeah. What else? There's another picture. Oh, we showed, I want to show this one, which, is a behind the scenes moment, just like you did with Michael. How was Kobe in that situation? I mean, I know how he was with me, but with you, and you bring into the table.
This was during that, I guess it was 2005, maybe, all the Lakers, and they came to New York.
Yeah.
Stayed at the Plaza, Phil always stayed in good hotels.
Yeah.
You didn't screw around with Phil. And we went across the street with a couple of his bodyguards and got some pizza on 7th Avenue. Came back to the room,
Yeah.
Sat, watched TV and ate pizza. There's the pizza box, and you take a few pictures and you let them go.
Yeah. Well, the people that are not realizing, because you're so humble, and I just know you and your personality, but it takes a lot of trust for these guys to let you that deep into their world, and it wasn't like you were there every day. You would come, you would go, you'd come back, you'd spend a good amount of time, but you just brought so much to the table as a person, and it's almost like they wanted to be around you. Like, I know Kobe loved to be around people that had greatness written all over them. That was just his thing. And even if he never told you that, I know it for a fact, because he and I talked about it. We talked about you. So, it's a little bit tough, hard shoes for me to fill, because I was around him all the time, and I had to kind of take that Walter kind of way of doing things and bring it into my world, but
I'd like to add one thing to that. The longer I knew these, say Kobe and Michael, the less I wanted to photograph them and the more I wanted to talk to them. Wow. Because they're so interesting.
Yeah.
When it comes to sport and their opinion in life, Kobe was a little broader, I think, in his knowledge of things. Kobe was pretty incredible in many ways.
Yeah.
But the last few times we shot, I just want to talk.
Yeah.
Welsh and I would go find him somewhere in Vegas, and he'd sit there and he'd talk. And when we were doing Michael near the end for advertising, you get 1 hour. I said, okay, the first 20 minutes, Michael and I are going to bullshit.
Yeah.
We'd sit there, get his makeup, and we just talk.
Well,
nothing better.
Yeah, it relaxes the person. It probably helps you too, although I get all jacked up before a shoot and become tongue-tied and just want to start shooting. But I know that you have to, it's cathartic. Like, you have to get that energy out and then relax the other person, right?
Yeah, that's part of your job.
Yeah. So Walter, what do you think Kobe's legacy is? I mean, it's a tragedy beyond any comprehension, what we've experienced with losing him and Gigi. But what do you think he's left behind as an athlete and as a person?
Well, yeah, it's an unimaginable tragedy. It's one of these days you remember where you were the rest of your life.
Yeah.
When the Kennedys were killed, or Martin Luther, towers going down. These are days, they're cemented in my life, but never an athlete.
Yeah.
Like that. And I mean, he'll never be Michael, but he was such a gifted player. And I watched this documentary the other night when he tore his Achilles tendon, and he still played.
Yeah, out of his mind. Yeah.
I mean, the pain.
Yeah.
made 2 free throws.
Yeah.
And, you know, the way he fought back, I mean, he played through so much pain.
Mm-hmm.
They all
Yeah.
do it. I mean,
Yeah.
he, in that way, Michael and he are the same.
Mm-hmm.
They'll
Mm-hmm.
sacrifice anything
Yeah.
to play the game and beat you, because the best players are assassins.
Right. Right. And
That's what they
Kobe,
do.
yeah, and Kobe said that that injury specifically was not going to define when he left the game. And we know how that ended. 60 points, Mamba out, you know,
I
it's
mean,
unbelievable.
triple 50 points.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, just
Crazy.
don't give either of those guys a reason to hurt you.
Yeah. Right. Right. Even a reason that doesn't even exist, as we've been seeing in the Last Dance. Michael kind of created reasons, but anyway.
Good.
Yeah. So listen, Walter, finishing up, fantastic talking to you today and catching up, of course. Now, you said in this SI article that I think came out in 2014 that the only great athlete that you hadn't shot yet was Roger Federer. Is that still true today in 2020? Yeah.
His agent lives on Key Biscayne, little island, 3 islands south of Miami Beach. And he never responded. You know, they played this tournament down in Miami.
Yeah, of course.
You know, SI will use it. We get the assignment, but I just said, you know, he's one of the greatest athletes I've ever seen. It's one person I've always wanted to photograph.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about beauty. Oh my God.
Yeah, I know. How does that not happen even in your commercial work life, that it never happened? That's
it's always good to have something
to shoot for. Yes, exactly.
It still won't happen because his career is about over now.
And any new athlete on the horizon, any sport, anybody that you are itching to get out in front of the camera?
You know what sport I love the most now? And obviously it's not on now. I've fallen in love with international soccer.
Oh, okay.
The Premier League, and I mean, 3:30, you know, twice a week on TV.
Yeah.
They play ball.
Yeah.
National Football League, as much as I love it, they ruined the game with commercials.
Mm-hmm.
The game has just been fragmented.
Yeah.
You know, what should take 20 minutes takes 2 hours.
Right.
Baseball, you know, I still love baseball. I still think 7th game of baseball playoff or World Series is the single greatest event.
Mm-hmm.
But I love those soccer players.
Yeah. That's
45
amazing.
minutes.
Yeah.
20 minutes stop. 45 minutes, a few more minutes, and the game's over.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're going to be the German league's going to play this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
The Bundesliga. I'm going to watch that.
Yeah, that's what I heard. They're all kind of trying to get back with no fans, which is going to be weird. But so I want to leave our conversation with 2 pictures. One is this one of a young Walter. I don't know where that is, but that's a great picture.
Bell bottom pants. Let's see. Those are the Colts back there.
How great is that? Yeah, I love that.
That could be Baltimore again, for all I know.
Yeah, I love that picture.
It was a warm day.
And then the last picture is this one, which I just love this picture. It's just such a friendly, wonderful, in the moment picture. And look at Michael's just happy to have taken this picture with you. And then I found a picture which I sent you recently. I found a slide of you in the locker room with Michael, which I don't even know how I'm going to scan it because all my stuff is somewhere else. But we're going to put that in here somehow. So,
yeah, please do.
Yeah,
Mike really hated my shoes.
Yeah, right. I was noticing those were not Air Jordans or Nikes.
They're very cool shoes.
Walter, you're the man. What can I tell you? Love you to death. I love what you've done, not just for me as a young photographer, but you know, as my career went on, and how it was always so wonderful to see you, you know, and bump into you. And our good friend Welch, who was your main assistant for so long, one of my great friends, and we shared so much history together. And whenever I knew you were in the house, it kind of pushed me a little bit more. So thank you for that.
Go, my man. We can talk music and sport all day and night.
I know. Well, listen, stay well, stay safe. Okay.
Thank you, man.
And
thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much for taking the time today, man.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, buddy. Take care.
Adios.
Bye. Well, I had an incredible time talking to Walter Iooss. First of all, it was great seeing him. I haven't actually seen him in a while. And it was great just learning about his process, how he approaches craft, very Mamba-esque. His early history with Neil Leifer, who pushed him, and their lifelong friendship and friendly competition to be the best of the best. Also, how he worked so seamlessly with Michael Jordan and with Kobe, as well as a zillion other athletes, which we just didn't have time to touch on today. But thank you all for listening. I hope you guys got something out of it, especially you young photographers out there and seasoned photographers, people who have seen Walter's work. Just, keep coming to our Instagram, because we'll be posting stuff of Walter's. And of course, you can follow him on Instagram at Walter Iooss. And our Instagram is at Legends of Sport, and our Twitter at Legends_of_Sport, and our blog, legendsofsport.blog. And my photography, as always, at ADB Photo Inc. Once again, thanks to the great, legendary Walter Iooss for taking the time today and really sharing his life and his experiences with us. And you guys keep coming back. We have some good stuff coming. We have, I'm going to say this to you guys first, we have some great videos, and we have some great athletes and some great people from the world of sports that you're going to really enjoy. So Legends of Sport is growing as we speak, and happy to be bringing every single episode to you guys directly from my secret lair. Everybody take care, stay well, stay safe, and we'll see you next time.